All right. So, do you want to grow more sales? I think we all do. And this topic today is going to be the keys to growing your sales. Like, what is it that affects people's buying decision and wants them to buy from you? This is Magnet Marketers, and we are a weekly blab that focuses on how you can become a magnet versus a bullhorn with your marketing. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Jessica Phillips, and I'm founder and president of Now Marketing Group and the Relationship Marketing System. And to my right, I believe he's on my right, maybe left, depending on how you're looking at it, Mike Gingrich. And he's the president of a web agency, Digital Hill, and the co-founder of the popular contest app TabSite. He's also the founder of a nonprofit, I Give Global, where he lives and works by the philosophy of always being uncommon and always adding value, which he sported on a hat recently. It's Social Media Marketing World, which is a lot of compliments with that. Selfies taken with that hat as well. You should wear it like on our blast. We should have like our thing. So yep. I'll bring in ET because that's kind of our like thing, you know.
That's right.
He's got his shirt for the love of marketing.
I got to bring in my hat. Yep.
You can bring in your hat. I need something.
There we go. Yes.
So growing more sales, our business with marketing is to increase sales. And there's some reasons why people buy from you. And there's also reasons that kind of turn people off from purchasing from you. I want to talk quickly, just briefly, because we want to focus on the positives, but the negatives, why people don't buy. And then also what can be turning them off, and then go into the keys of success and how you can turn that around. Sound good?
Yes, sounds excellent. Because we all need more sales, and we all need to take a look at our sales and how we can grow those things. Yeah. So you want to start out with a couple quick negatives. I think that one of those is just the too pushy, and So when it comes overboard, ready to make a decision, but it's time to make a decision, and so that is that can definitely be a turnoff. Again, when you don't feel like you're, I think a key word in the whole thing about growing sales today, and this is from a relationships and ROI perspective, is the fact that you need to. It's a partnership. Okay, it says the company has a need, and they're looking for someone to help fill that need. And so you need to understand their business and work with them to get them where they want to go. And that's a partnership. But when you're ready to make a decision, it's, that's a transaction that it's still two, separate entities. Yep. And I'm just going to give you something and move on kind of thing.
Yes, you hit it. And car salesmen kind of get a bad rap for this, but it's a way of describing that approach. It's sleazy, kind of too pushy, overwhelming. And really what it comes off saying, and like you said, where it's a relationship where you got to meet each other in the middle in a partnership together, is that you're not educated enough to make your own decision. So this person has to become overbearing and tell you what you need to do without listening to you. So not listening, becoming too pushy. And I'm going to add on to that and say not educated about your product as well. And if you're not as confident in your product and as educated and well-versed, knowing that it's going to solve the person that's in front of yours problem, then you're going to become pushy and just jump right to the go of, hey, buy, without just educating someone about the solution that your business may have that's automatically going to solve their problem anyway. So they would want to buy from you. So this ties in, I think, nicely then to the opposite of what's going to make someone want to buy from you. We kind of touched on this a little bit, but I'm going to start with the first one, is being educated in your own product. Okay. Yep. Too often I've met salespeople that it's trying to sell me on an application or something for my business, and I start asking them questions and they don't know. They only stick to this sales deck presentation that they've kind of got polished and want to breeze through because it's almost scripted. And then when it comes to questions on the application and how it'll work, they don't know. So you have to be educated on your own.
They know an inch deep on the script, right? Yeah.
Yep. And not just your product, the competitors that are out there that have the same solution. Sales tip number one, know your product and the competitor's product better than anyone else that's in that conversation.
Yep. Now I think that's an absolutely valid point there. That's the inability to properly handle questions or to make someone feel, heard or understood. And it's not that we have to always even have the right answer, but if it's a pattern of, do we dismiss those things, or is there an attempt by somebody that's trying to just keep on a script, as opposed to, that's a valid question. I need to take that back to our team and make sure I get that one. I know this, and this, but I need to check on that. That's valid, that you come across professionally, and you want to have as much information as you can. You want to be able to, have strategies, but to not just always come across as lost if you're away from the deck.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when it comes to your competitors, I would say, knowing what sets you apart when it comes down to those decision making at the end. So that's important to go in when you're going in to this presentation. I like to call it a conversation, not a presentation, but we'll probably touch on that in a minute. But well informed of what your solution is, but then also what makes you different and similar to your competition that's out there, maybe providing the same type of solution for a business.
Yep. I'll give you another negative quick before we move on to the positives, and that is, I don't like those that always try to put hey, we're running it just for this month. I know it's the 21st, so you have until the 30th, okay? Because this is one time my sales manager has allowed us to do this, and it's going to end on the 30th.
Oh my gosh, yes. That actually, I'm like ready to buy from people, and that's the reason I don't. I'm like, if they're pushing me this hard, there's something wrong. It's a red flag for me. I will completely turn from going to give them my credit card to completely 100% backing away.
Yeah. So that's that whole jump in with the discount model kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's not a good foundation for a long term. That's the evidence of someone that's just trying to do a transaction again. And what we're saying, over the course of time, is that your best business is going to come from repeat business, from loyal business. And so you want to develop that over the course of time. People are going to stay with you, and, buy additional services, use more of your time, that type of thing going forward. There's going to be a loyalty factor involved.
I love that.
So anyway, that's another negative one is those sneaky ones that always say, but it's going to go away. It's going to be that day. It's going to be, the end of it. We won't see that kind of price again.
Yep. And you have to tell me right now. You have to do it right now and sign right here, right now. Yep. No, while we're on the phone, I'm like, well, I'm in my car right now. I need to go back to the office and just let me think about it.
Like, can I get your credit card? Let's, is that a Visa?
Nope. I'm out. Yeah, definitely on that. That's a good one. I really like that. On a positive then,
let's go.
Another one would be then having a conversation with someone versus the presentation that seems scripted. I think you don't really need a presentation. If you know your product and you know your competitors, your job then is going in there and understanding the other person's problem. You're not there to perform and give them this big, sales deck, PowerPoint, whatever. You can definitely get to that and feature your solution, but only after you've asked them questions. We always start off asking a lot of questions, because then the benefit of doing that is that then your presentation / conversation, as we like to say, can be geared to answering the questions and explaining what your service or solution is based upon fitting their specific needs.
Yes.
Directly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think that the ones that have driven me nuts the most have been ones where I can't get in a word edgewise, and they're just coming with communication and spilling. They're not trying to understand, my business models, my particular pain points. It's just all about their solution. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so that's the critical piece of, so I'll even back up further from what you said there, because I think, let's go into the psychology, a little deeper behind this, because when you talk about questions is key. You want to be able to ask the questions. To be able to ask the questions, takes a confidence level, a level of contentment in we're secure in who we are as we sit down at the table, that we don't need to necessarily prove ourselves. Okay. So I take that back to, Gary Vaynerchuk, where he talks about the most critical factor in his hiring is self-perception. Okay. So I think that plays into a quality sale, is if your team, you as a salesperson, have self-awareness that you can walk confidently, not artificially in any way, into a meeting with a business. And it's not about you. You're confident in who you are, your company, your product, so that you can be giving and focused on them, what their need is. But do you get that? It's like your own self-awareness and understanding of yourself gives you that peace and confidence and poise to be able to give to them fully. And that's what's needed.
Perfect way of summing it up. They say the person that wins, if you can call it winning, in a conversation or any kind of debate, even if it's a debate back and forth, is the one that's the most passionate and confident in their approach. That's the person that wins others over and wins influence. Sales is really just psychology. That's it. People buy on emotions. They buy on the way that you're making them feel. Like we just said earlier, it may have been the best product, but because they turned us off by, giving us some red flags and being too pushy or not asking the right questions, even though the product may have been a great fit, you still aren't going to buy if it gives you the wrong feeling. You have to make people feel warm, that they're the most important person in the room. You have to be confident in your solution, which goes back to knowing your product and your competitors. So you're confident in who you are and the business that you serve. You have to believe in it. There's no way of really truly being a great salesperson if you don't believe in what you're selling. Yep. It won't work. People can read between those lines. You have to be passionate and believe in what you're selling in order to convey others the importance of the solution for them too. Yep.
I'll break it down this way, and just another way of saying what you've said, and that is that in a sales transaction, the customer is first buying you before they're buying your product or service.
You said that so much nicer.
That's the succinct way, and I'm not original in it. I've heard it said, but I think that's that's so key, that they're buying you. So, how you come across, the connection they feel with you, whether they feel like that's there is that connection, there is a partnership, there is inspiration, there's a positivity, that is key to them being able to hear anything about your product or service.
That's perfect. I love Simon Sinek says this as well. And he says, that's where people say, I went with my gut. I went with my gut instinct and it felt right. He said, those are no things that are in your brain that you can really do, or your gut, I should say. Decision making doesn't come from your gut. It comes from a part in your brain that does give off those signals and that feeling that you are making a wise decision because you feel good about it. You trust the person in front of you. You can see this relationship going further. So that goes back to then not just knowing your product and asking the right questions, but it also goes into making sure that you're taking time to listen to others so you can pick up on their indicators on what they're expecting to have from you and the body language that they're giving off. If you see the shift that they're touching their face, those indicators that somebody's uncomfortable, they're looking at their watch, whatever, that you've kind of lost them a little bit and you have to bring them back in. There are some words, and I actually picked this up a long time ago from an Inc. article, but there are certain words that you can use to pull people back into your conversation, or at least to get some buying cues that they are with you and understanding you. So you ask follow-up questions to the questions that you're already asking someone. So maybe you're asking them, like, what's their biggest marketing struggle? What are their goals? What what are they looking for in the future? What needs have they not had met? Maybe they're answering these questions, and then you do respond with, oh yeah, I definitely understand that. And you can use human other examples or case studies that explain that someone else has had a similar problem or a similar issue that you've helped resolve. That's building that other foundation of trust and helping people connect with you on this emotional level. But then as you're saying that, there's a couple cues that they said. Questions can be as simple as, can't you sympathize with that? It sounds just like your story. Won't this do you feel like this is going to bring you the best solution, and get some of those buying cues back, and getting someone to respond and articulate that you are meeting that need, so you're getting that feedback back and forth conversation.
Yep. I think that that is trying to draw someone into the conversation, and in a natural, inquisitive type way is a huge value in that area. And I think that, trying to find some of that common connection. I think that, I'm thinking back to closing more sales and knowing that you need to make that personal connection. It's, again, you might be coming in representing, two companies. Okay. This is a company that has a need and they've called you in, you're representing your company. But when you're at that table, it's, two people. Okay. Yep. One-on-one there. And so it's person to person again, which was what we talk about. It comes down to, and how do you want to interact with that person, and you need to find out about them. Okay. I'm telling you that I sold a website registration system, okay, about a month ago, talking about Notre Dame basketball.
See? Yeah.
Yeah, because we were kind of talking some details and stuff like that, and I didn't feel like it was, really smooth, and we began to just, talk, and a couple things led to another thing, and suddenly we had a common topic. He's a season ticket holder, and to talk about the current team, you talk about what's happening in the playoffs at that point in time, and we connected there. Passion levels rose and energy levels rose. And then it was just about, okay, let's get back to the details here. And, there was a connection point. So that's, that's outside of your kind of drawing the conversation back. That's just a, personal connection with the other person across from you, and trying to find and be prepared for what that connection can be.
And you just hit on it, being prepared. So that's the other part. When you're going into this conversation, you're like, what am I going to talk about? How am I going to align my conversation to what their needs are? Do some research before you get in there.
Yeah.
Beautiful world of the internet and Google and LinkedIn and social media, and their website probably has a lot of indicators right there on it to who these individuals are, what they care about. You have to make either a conversation or a memory or a lasting impact on this person. They may be meeting with multiple different sales team that are having this conversation with them. But if you can touch on, like you did with the Notre Dame, or maybe I'll give you an example of one we went into. So it was a school and they were working on a new program. Well, we noticed on their website that they had a donation request. So they had all these school supplies that they needed donations for. So we went and got 6 things off of their list and brought them in when we went in with it. So it was like, hand sanitizer, tissues, and all this stuff. And that's what we went into the presentation with. And they were just like, they kept saying, thank you. And then another person would come down the hallway and they're telling them about what we did. We made that lasting impact on them just by doing some research ahead of time before we went into the presentation.
I like that. Well, let's go through a couple more areas where you can do that quickly. Sure. Obviously, go to LinkedIn. Most people are going to have a professional profile on LinkedIn. What can you find out about them there? Maybe you can tie into where they attended university, college, or high school, or some other kind of connection there. Nowadays, I think it's imperative. I do this a lot as I search Facebook, okay? Because if I can find on Facebook, I might be able to find something a little bit more personal about them. I might find out what sports team they like or what activities that they like outside of work. And so I can try to make that kind of connection there, music, sports, hobby, something like that. And, again, if Twitter might be another place to do that, but you can use social media to do a little bit of that learning, and that will help, bring you in closer and give you that way to make a connection in a good segue.
I'm telling you, people love that when you do your research and you go in and you're like, hey, I just seen that you guys attended that conference and you won X award or whatever. You're going to put a smile on their face, and you're going to start off that conversation to being one that's a lot more laid back and a lot more, just going into it versus they feel like, okay, we're here to be sold on something. And this can even work for someone that you don't already have maybe a preset meeting with. I do recommend, scheduling and being responsive, or responsible about other people's time and being conscious of it. However, I'll give you another example. I just received an email from someone that was trying to sell a social media software to me. And they started, though, the email, we get lots of these emails coming in, everybody with their same script in of trying to purchase, purchase you, I should say. Yep. Well, they started the email with, loved your tweets from Social Media Marketing World. And they said, hey, loved your tweets. And there were some great ones. And they shared a couple that they weren't able to attend the conference, but seen a couple of the sessions that looked like was really popular. And they said, hey, I also noticed that you're able to be a speaker this year. I bet you were, really excited about that, blah, blah, blah. And they started off the first 2 paragraphs of that email based on their research. They had my attention then. I read the rest of it. I didn't hit delete automatically. They had my attention, and now we have a call scheduled on Friday. But anyone that's going to take that much time and trying to understand me and us and, make that personalized email, I want to work with a company like that.
Yep. Absolutely. So that research ahead of time, that personalization, and again, what I like about this, what you're talking about, is that this is beyond the face-to-face. This is digital communication, and so this, it happens on that scale as well. What can you do to demonstrate that via personalization, just via the email right there? You just did that, and I think that another thing that businesses can do is we've seen this in different ways. So I think that nowadays, you see live streaming. So the opportunity to share a little bit. I mean, getting out their video, even one-to-many like that, allows people to get to know you a little bit. So there's that know, like, and trust factor that can help close more sales. In a software as a service model, okay, that's what TabSite is. And we've just seen the fact where a recorded video can help increase sales. So a video about an app, okay, can increase sales. And again, it's not live, but it's just recorded, but they know someone there at TabSite. Then they listen to that person talk about, this is how this app works, and this is what you can do with it, and that can make a difference. So you have to think through what your business model is, and always be thinking about ways to personalize it, because that's a key to closing more sales.
Exactly. And you touched on something else that could be also used as a follow-up. So even if you've had a great conversation with someone and, you've met with them and you spoke to them about their needs and you're presenting this to them, remember to follow up. A lot of the sales happen in the follow-up, and make it personalized. Video, we talked about BombBomb before, but that's a great way of putting your video in an email follow-up and letting people see your face and maybe, talk about the service a little bit and what that relationship would mean to you if you started working with them. We also use a service called Send Out Cards, where we send cards to clients and we personalize it. We'll find something interesting that happened or they mentioned in their conversation, try to make it creative and send that card to them right away, along with an email. But that card is something tangible. They have it in their hand. It's going to mean a lot more to them.
Yep. So again, our take, if you're just coming in here now and you haven't been around, though, is that you need to move away from that fast acting, slick talking, pushy transactional approach. Okay. So that might, that might get you, that one or two sales, but it's not going to get you that long lasting relationship business, repeat business that you want, that loyalty factor that is so important today that helps you break through the noise. Okay. And I think it's always about trying to get beyond the price factor. Okay. You don't want to compete on lowest price. And those that keep pushing you there are typically not going to be your loyal type of partner company that you can do business with. And so you wanted to, keys to closing more sales are the right kind of sales, and working to find that good relationship, make that connection. Starts with you though, starts with you being confident, poised, comfortable with who you are, and able to then therefore give attention to them, dive into what their problems are, the needs that they have, listen, understand, clarify to make sure that you're capturing it correctly with them. So it's so if I summarize it in my own words, is this kind of the problem you have and the solution you're looking for, and if they hear that back, they're like, yeah, that's it.
Yes. One other turn off that could also, it's a positive and a negative, but it goes into what we're saying, being confident in yourself and knowing your own product, knowing your competitors out there. If a competitor gets brought up, just a word of advice, do not bash them. Do not bash them. That's another turn off. Be confident in yourself, be confident in the tools that you have, and also know what your competitors are good at. There's a lot of sales presentations that are lost because of someone saying, oh, their product is garbage, ours is way superior, and bashing them, or they're way too expensive, we're way less expensive. You don't want to get in the price game either, but recognize maybe what they do well. I was actually in a sales presentation this morning, and someone had mentioned that they were doing video work with another local competitor to us. And I was like, you know what? They do really great video. I really like the video that they turn out. Are you going to continue that relationship with them? And they said, well, we're not sure. We might want to keep it all in one pot, or we may work with them. I'm like, either way, you'd be in good hands, is what I said to them. I was like, we can definitely work with them, if need be, but either way, you'll be in good hands, because they do great video work. Yep. Our specialty is social and digital inbound relationship marketing. So, we can definitely align and work with them, but either way, you'll be in good hands. So make sure that you're not bashing the competitor. You're just focusing on your strengths and what you can bring to the table, and know what makes you different. And that goes back to being confident in who you are and what you can bring to the table.
Yes. Yep. As we kind of wind down here, I think one of the things that I always think about too in keys to closing sale from a relationship perspective is, there can be times where people are busy. I mean, I am thoroughly busy, and things can slide off of my plate that I'm not aware of at times. And so how someone comes back to me is appropriate and key, because like I said there before, I'm turned off if there's like, hey, it's coming down to the end of the month, and we have this deal ends at the end of the month, or someone coming back to me via email and saying, hey, Mike, just wanted to check in on this. I know we had talked about this and this, did your team review that? Were there any follow-up questions you had? And that's a soft touch base, but it is a touch base that is inquiring, were you ready to move forward, make a decision? Was there anything else that you needed from them? So that there's a method to that, which is, inquiring by, ensuring that you've answered all the questions and that they have the information they need.
That's a good one. That's a really good point, because I'm way turned off too with the ones that are like, hey, I haven't heard from you. Why haven't you responded? We're ready. What's holding you back? And did you already make a decision? Just all of those. And it's just turn off. And you're like, we're busy. It may seem like a lifetime to you, but it just seemed like 2 hours ago that we talked,
Right.
But what a nice soft way of doing this and providing a follow-up is, one, asking when's an appropriate time to follow up, and then being respectful of that time. But two, another thing, that if you have a blog or an email drip campaign that you put out, ask them for permission to, put them in it. I ask clients, I'm like, it's great. I understand you're meeting with some others. Hey, you mentioned that you really, aren't as as familiar with like LinkedIn and how to utilize it for business. We actually have some good articles on that. Would you mind if I sent it to you? And actually, we do a weekly, email that we push out. I'd be happy to subscribe you to it, if that's okay with you. And then they'll, 9 times out of 10 say, absolutely, yeah, we need all the help we can get, is usually the response I get. And I'm like, great. So I'll personalize it to them, and then make sure the calls to action or whatever that's at the bottom of that email is, ready to get started or whatever. But it's the value added that they can see that you're bringing each and every touch point that you're talking with them.
I like that. Value add each and every touch point.
Yep, exactly.
It's good. Good.
Yeah, this has flown by. I think I'm excited about sales or something today.
Yeah. Getting well, do it right. And I think that there's a lot of excellent things there. I mean, you're just kind of recapping this for an online audience. I mean, a lot of these things they take place. You just have to find ways that you're doing that online, as we talked about, whether it's via email, it's the approach of that email, it's the words in that email, it's the research you put into that email. If it's a DM in Twitter, it's the same type of thing. Is that, it's the posture. Okay. So you can communicate this in person, you can communicate this in email, it can be on social media, but it's that posture that you're bringing forth. Are you there to help? Are you there to answer questions? Are you there to understand?
Yes. I love it. Like personalization, making it personal, making people want to have communication with you ongoing. That's the key. I'm going to give one other really, really, really quick tip that may help people that are on the digital space before we wrap it up. Is you mentioned Twitter. If you meet somebody else, a lot of times when you're talking to different people and you realize that, hey, this person may be great for X. I've also won some deals by connecting people together. If they mentioned, hey, I'm really looking to grow digital, but I've also been searching for, a sales team or a sales software, whatever. Maybe it's a solution that I couldn't provide, but I've stumbled upon or know someone that could provide that service. I do a warm introduction to them both and said, hey, it was great speaking with you. During our conversation, you mentioned you were looking for X. I have someone that would be perfect. And you mentioned that, you did that, and doing those warm lead-ins and email follow-ups, it just shows that you're listening and that you care and you do value building that relationship, no matter if you've won the business or not. We've talked about this before on previous blabs. People change jobs. You don't want to burn a bridge if it's not right for that company. That person may be working in another company the next week, and you are a good fit for them. So make sure you continue to build and strengthen relationships, whether you're doing business with them or not. Yep,
absolutely. Lots of stories. That way we don't have time for all these stories, but people that maybe did a little business with you at one spot, and you're like, wow, I wish we could have got in deeper there, but we didn't. And then they move jobs and they remember you and they call you up, and now they've got the whole budget and they go for it. And you're like, wow, all from that little thing back there. Glad we, handled that well.
Exactly. I actually had that experience today. I put out a tweet today, and it was what's better than winning a new client is winning a client back after they've went to a competitor. And that was the case with us today. And it's a good feeling of knowing that you've kept that relationship great from the presentation to even when they've decided to maybe try something else. You still keep that foundation of a good relationship, even as it's, moving on, because you never know if they're going to be back. And with a bigger marketing budget then,
There we go. All right. So I'm going to tell people as they leave that start with yourself. Okay. Self-awareness, Gary Vaynerchuk language there, who you are, what you have to offer, being confident in that, being, secure in that. So that gives you the poise, and, that gives you the ability to go in and be other-centered, to be able to focus on that company, that person that's across from there, and you need to make that personal connection. It's a person. Have you done your research ahead of time? And, what can you learn about them? What personal connection can you make? Because, again, they're going to buy you before they buy your product or service.
Yes.
And then, asking those questions that can help deepen that rapport. So that's just a few. You need to do that, whether it's physical or in the digital realm.
Very, very good. It's a great summarization of today. And Mike, why don't you leave in the comments too where people can find you online if they have sales questions or marketing or just want to get in touch. And I'll leave everyone with just saying, make sure you listen, ask lots of questions, and be creative in your follow-up. When you're listening with, with intent and really wanting to find out what their problem is that you can help them solve, you will be able to easily come up with ideas to follow up and make it stick of who you are and why they want to do business with you. And I thank you guys very, very much for being with us today. Mike left his contact information here, and I'll put mine. And mine is just jessicaphillips.com, my name. And I would love to stay connected. Now, it sounds like we are wrapping up this Relationships in ROI Lab for a little bit now. We're going to turn this into potentially a series and then focus on another topic. However, Mike and I are both on Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Magnet Marketers. So you're still looking for actionable tips to strengthen your marketing to become a magnet versus being a bullhorn. Join us here on Blab at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Tuesday. Appreciate your guys' time as always. Thank you so much. And Mike, I look forward to connecting with you soon.
Yes. Talk to you later. See ya.